Hello there, and I hope your life is wonderful wherever you are. And if not wonderful, maybe insightful. What we want to do is to bring you some ideas that will aid in your insightful life, and so I'm glad you're joining us. Last time I shared with you a reading that restated once again, as has been restated for thousands of years, that our basic real nature is love and light, and that the world of form is a camouflage or a disguise over that fact. And we had much to say about that. This time, I would like to add to that by discussing not only love and light as characteristics that are inherently ours, but that also our basic nature is immaculate, innocent, and pure. And so to that end, I will tell you, surprise, surprise, another story. Many years ago, when I was a young married woman, and before our boys were born, my husband and I and 3 other couples decided that we would go camp out in the snow. What were we thinking? Well, we had done lots of camping and hiking and jeeping and skiing in the winter, but we had never gone camping in midwinter. I suppose we just needed to have another adventure. So we went up to the summit of Vail Pass. Now, some of you may or may not know that Vail, along with Aspen in Colorado, are 2 of the world's most famous and most marvelous ski areas. And somehow, despite that, and having certainly skied there, we decided we would have our own skiing experience in addition to this camping out in the snow thing. So we drove up to the summit of Vail, parked our cars by the highway. We had a snowmobile with us, which we used to ferry up our camping equipment and food and ski equipment, and finally us. Our leader was a man who was a hunter, so he was more experienced with being out in the woods in snow conditions like this than we were, so we let him lead the way in all of this. So after some considerable amount of time, we got ourselves and all of our stuff up another several hundred feet above the summit, which is around 11,500 feet. So we're way up approaching timberline at this point. That's the place where trees can't grow because there's not enough oxygen for them to flourish. The snow was several feet thick, so we had to stomp it all down enough where we could pitch our tents and make a place where we could make a fire and cook our dinner and sit around and visit, which was really just lovely. So we finally retired to our 2 tents for the night, but the 4 of us in our tent didn't last very long. It was below 0, and beside the fact that we had very good sleeping bags, we were just freezing. So we went over and made our way to the other tent that was large enough to accommodate all of us, and that was ever so much better. It had a stove that was fueled by firewood, so we could put firewood in there all night long. It was vented out the top, so everything worked out very well. We were warm, and life couldn't be better. And what we didn't know is that it snowed all night long. And when we woke up the next morning and looked out this tent door, it was the most gorgeous sight you could imagine, because all of our stomping and tromping around, and you might say the spoiling of the beautiful snow that we had done the night before, getting ourselves all set up, had all been taken care of. It was all covered up. And as far as the eye could see, which was far because we're up at the top of the mountains, it was totally silent. There's no wind moving. There's not a single track or mark or blemish on it. And it is the most brilliant, white, pristine, immaculate snow that you could ever possibly imagine. The reason for saying this, I've never forgotten what that was like, is that the reality of us is as pure and pristine and immaculate and unsoiled as that gorgeous view that day. And the reason why this provides such a great metaphor is that we did nothing to clean up our mess, so to speak. And the snow was all messed up because we'd walked around and needed to mess it up so we could put those tents down. It had all been handled. It was all covered up by no effort of ours whatsoever. So if we could remember that every moment provides a new, immaculate, unflawed moment, not only for us, but as us. It was so amazing. We didn't have to clean up our mess in the snow. We don't have to clean up our mess, so to speak, in terms of the things that we've done that are unloving, unkind, we've been afraid, we've been inappropriate, we've been egotistical, and we fear so greatly that we have permanently ruined ourselves. And even if you're not aware of that consciously, that sense of guilt still grips us in our own unconsciousness. What we keep forgetting is that each new moment is as clean and pure and uncluttered and undamaged as that beautiful sight of that snow stretching as far as the eye could see. We don't have to worry about anything that has happened up to this moment. It's been cleaned up for us. It would be like saying, oh no, I just realized I've been eating junk food for the past year. What am I going to do about that? How can I fix that? You don't try to fix what you've eaten for the past year, but you make a decision that today I'll stop eating junk food and I will eat things that are much better for me and much healthier. It's the same way. You can just forget about mistakes in the past. You never have been ruined. You cannot ruin yourself. Just keep in mind that beautiful expanse that I'm sure you can imagine, a pristine snow, not a track in it. Think of, well, what I'm going to do in the new clean moment of now, where I don't have to give one thought to my mistakes of before. I'm going to decide how not to make mistakes today. So I'm going to look on all things, as we talked about last time, as really love itself, disguised in form, but nevertheless love itself. And not only love and light, but innocence and purity also as characteristics of all that I see. So what I want to do is to remind myself to want that to be the truth about everything, everyone, every situation, every circumstance that I'm aware of in any given day. It's hard to deal with a moment, so I can just talk about every day. And as I decide to focus on today and the way I will approach everything today, I will notice that my life begins to just handle itself, clean itself up, take care of itself, and we don't have to worry any more than we had to do a thing about making a beautiful scene when we woke up that morning. We look beyond appearances to the real, invisible, eternal truth of everything. And so we need to remind ourselves to enter into each new moment with gratitude, with a resolve and a willingness to be open, not closed, loving, and not fearful. Carl Rogers, who was one of Bill Thetford's mentors, used to refer to unconditional positive regard, in case love is too complicated or loaded a word for you. But to give no thought to our craziness or our fear-driven decisions, just be kind to ourselves, be generous, and everything is always new for us and better than anything we could plan for ourselves. And as a last word, a blizzard set in. We didn't get to do all that skiing that we had set ourselves up to do on our own little privately made ski area. We needed to hurry up, get down that hill, get in the car, back on the highway before the highway closed. The blizzard was that bad, and before we would be stuck for hours. Mercifully, we got home, and all was well, but it's a sight I will never forget And I hope you never forget that beautiful picture as the picture of you. I hope you'll come back next time. Bye.